What's up, YouTube? What a game 7 that was between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. The Spurs do take the series in 7. Victor Wembanyama is your conference finals MVP, and we now have an NBA finals of the Knicks and the Spurs. What an NBA finals that's going to be. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, but before I get into the NBA finals matchup, I do just want to briefly cover this game 7 we just witnessed between the Thunder and the Spurs. First thing I want to say, shout out to the Spurs, and most importantly, shout out to Victor Wembanyama. In your first playoff run to make the NBA Finals is absolutely legendary stuff. We haven't seen that in a really long time. I believe Magic Johnson was the last player to do that. And I want to give another huge shout out to Julian Champagnie. He was huge tonight, 20 points, 6 from 10 from three-point range. He was hitting some crucial buckets, some crucial threes. And without him, the Spurs wouldn't have won tonight. Dylan Harper, the rookie, made some great plays down the stretch as well. De'Aaron Fox, of course, clutch player of the year a few years ago, hit some crucial shots as well down the stretch. Fox only had 15 points tonight, but all his buckets were timely buckets in crucial moments in the game. Overall, I would say this is a great team win from the San Antonio Spurs. Now for OKC, Shai did his thing. The two-time MVP, of course, delivered. 35 points on 68% true shooting. That's just Shai being Shai. He performed very well tonight. He shouldn't be getting any of the blame for this loss. To be without two of your top 3 scorers in AJ Mitchell and J-Dub, but a lot of people think J-Dub is the second best player on this team. He was all NBA last year, all defensive as well. That's a huge loss. Then of course AJ Mitchell was playing absolutely phenomenal in these playoffs, and to see him go down is huge. So 2 crucial missing players from the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they still barely lost this series, losing in 7 games. They had a shot to win it as well, but it was just going to be too hard of a victory to pull out. I mean, the Thunder were just hitting some crazy tough buckets. They weren't getting any easy buckets. Shai was having to hit some ridiculous mid-range jumpers, and even McCain was hitting some crazy threes in that first half. So their offense was really just a struggle offense, and Shai just hitting some really crazy shots, honestly. And of course, we cannot just gloss over Chet Holmgren. Chet Holmgren was absolutely awful tonight. 4 points and 4 rebounds in 33 minutes. That is just unacceptable, especially for an all-NBA performer. He was all-NBA, 3rd team this year. There's just no excuse for that putrid performance from Chet tonight. He finished 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year, and he wasn't even guarding Victor Wembanyama, and I didn't even think his help defense was great either tonight. He did have a great block on Dylan Harper, but still, I just don't think his defense was good enough to ignore how bad the offense was tonight. Like, I can see if he was giving you that 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting type defense, but he wasn't even doing that tonight. Just an awful, awful performance from Chet Holmgren. Now, I'm not going to be one of these people that are saying they need to trade him this summer for like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. I wouldn't do anything ridiculous like that. I mean, Chet Holmgren is, I believe, 23 years old at the moment, and he was just all NBA. I don't think people need to overreact there. I mean, the Thunder lost in 7 games without 2 of their top 3 players, so I don't think this team needs, a huge roster change at all. I just think they got unlucky, and it's very hard to go back-to-back and win an NBA championship in back-to-back years. We haven't seen it since the Golden State Warriors in 16 and 17. It's just so hard. You need a lot of luck to go on your side. You need a lot of health. You can't have too many injuries to star players, to key players like the Thunder had tonight. You need so much things to go your way, and the Thunder just did not have that luck. Now, let's talk about the NBA Finals matchup between the New York Knicks and the San Antonio Spurs. What a historic matchup this is between 2 legendary franchises. This is a 1999 Finals rematch between these 2 teams and an NBA Cup rematch that we saw them. The Knicks did defeat the San Antonio Spurs earlier in the season in that NBA Cup Finals, so not sure how much that means. I'm not too big of a fan of the NBA Cup, to be quite honest with you. This is not just a 1-game elimination. This is an entire series, so I don't hold too much weight in the Knicks winning that NBA Cup final. I just thought it was interesting that we had 2 teams that were the best 2 teams in that NBA Cup matching up in the finals. I think that's pretty interesting. But I think this is going to be a super entertaining series. You got Victor Wembanyama playing in the Garden. That's going to be absolutely legendary. If he can win his first ring in his first playoff run in Madison Square Garden, that is actually legendary stuff from Victor Wembanyama. Overall, I think the outcome of the series is going to be great regardless. You either get a Victor Wembanyama championship ring or you get a New York Knicks ring for the first time in I don't know how long, I think 30 or 40 years. Which is absolutely crazy, but people seem to be rooting against the Knicks in this series, and people are not picking the Knicks. They think that the Spurs are heavy favorites in this series, and I don't quite agree. I'm going to pick the Spurs to win this series, But I think the New York Knicks have a very solid chance at winning this series, especially with the Spurs banged up. De'Aaron Fox is not 100%, guys. He's playing on a bad ankle. And the New York Knicks, I know Mitchell Robinson has that finger injury. Don't know what the timeline is going to be with him, that injury. But I think they're definitely going to need Mitchell Robinson in this series, especially matching up against a player like Victor Wembanyama. But the Knicks have a lot of rest. Now, a lot of people would argue that's a bad thing, and having rest is not always good. But this is a team, guys, that has swept the last two series. They swept the Philadelphia 76ers in the second round, and then, of course, in the conference finals, they swept the Cleveland Cavaliers. So this is a team that's won 11 straight games. 11 straight wins in the playoffs is nothing to gloss over, guys. This is a team that's peaking at the right time. I would not sleep on the New York Knicks at all, guys. Now, I'm a Celtics fan, and I like to troll Knicks fans on Twitter, so I'm going around saying that they have no chance at winning this series, but that's really just me trolling. If I'm being quite honest with you, I do think the Knicks have a very solid chance. Now, I'm going to go ahead and pick the Spurs in 6 to win this series, but I see a world where the Knicks can win this series, and Jalen Brunson, I think, is going to have a phenomenal series. Now, I do like the matchup with Castle on Jalen Brunson in terms of the Spurs side. I think Castle is going to make it tough for Jalen Brunson, just like he did with the two-time MVP Shea in this series. I would say Shea had 2 really bad games in the Spurs series, and a lot of that was due to Stephon Castle's defense and just being that menace. So I don't think we're going to get the same old Brunson that we're getting in these playoffs. I do think he's going to have 1 or 2 stinkers in this series. But overall, you can't stop a great player. So I do think he's going to have some really solid games in this series. But I am expecting maybe 1 or 2 Jalen Brunson stinkers in this series because Stephon Castle is just that good of a defender. But I really like the Knicks because I like the way they're rallying behind Jalen Brunson, and Mike Brown, the head coach, in his first year with this New York Knicks team. He's taking them on a ridiculous playoff run, obviously winning 11 straight games. And in the NBA Finals, what a job he's done. He's not getting enough credit, in my opinion. I thought he should have been a Coach of the Year candidate this year. And like I said, the Knicks are just catching heat at the right time. Mikal Bridges is really catching fire these last few games. That mid-range is absolutely money. He's been on a tear right now. And then OG coming back from that injury. Before the injury, OG was absolutely lighting it up in the playoffs. I think he's going to get back to that as he gets a lot more healthy. He's having a lot more rest. So that's why I think the rest is going to be huge. This New York Knicks team, especially with OG Anunoby, I think OG Anunoby is the biggest beneficiary for all this rest when it comes to the New York Knicks. And then obviously a small guard like Jalen Brunson, rest is always going to be very solid for a guy like him. But I think the X factor in this series is Karl Anthony Towns. How is he going to respond to a team that really gets downhill? Dylan Harper, De'Aaron Fox, and Stephon Castle are all excellent when it comes to getting downhill, getting around the rim. Cat likes to foul a lot, especially down low when it comes to trying to protect the rim. So I think Cat's really going to have to be a disciplined defender in this series. And then if Mitchell Robinson misses a few games with that finger injury, Karl Anthony Towns is going to have to be that anchor defensively. And I just really don't trust him against a team like the Spurs. Like I said, they're going to get downhill on them. And you have Victor Wembanyama as well. I do think this is a very, very bad matchup defensively. When it comes to Karl Anthony Towns, I just don't really like this matchup for him defensively. But offensively, I do like how Cat can stretch the floor. Victor Wembanyama is going to have to get out there on those closeouts when it comes to Karl Anthony Towns. And then Karl Anthony Towns is having a good playoff run, especially as a playmaker. He's been very solid. I think he's averaging like 7 or 8 assists in this playoff run. He's been huge. I didn't know Karl Anthony Towns was this good of a playmaker. I knew he was a good playmaker, but he's actually a great playmaker, and he's showing it in this playoff run. But overall, guys, I am very excited to watch this series. What a historic matchup this is. I'm going to go ahead and choose the Spurs in 6 games. Comment down below what you guys think about my prediction, Spurs in 6. Comment down below how excited you are to watch this series. I'm very excited. I'm going to be seated for all 6 or 7 games, hopefully, in this series. That's going to go ahead and do it for this video, guys. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.